I absolutely love this place, Lough Muckno in Ireland. Now, I've fished this venue a couple of times before. It's been brilliant. Fantastic scenery, loads of bites, a brilliant place to fish. And we're on a 4-day festival. We're using this festival as a bit of a practice session for next week's big event. Next week, we've got the World Club Feeder Champs. Countries from all over Europe fishing against each other to be crowned the World Club Feeder Champions. Our team consists of myself, Phil Ringer, Steve Ringer, Adam Wakeling, Jamie Harrison, an amazing team. And obviously we want to put the effort in. We want to try and do our best in that competition. So we're here this week to see if we can get a little bit of information with regards next week's event. We've just paid our pools. We've got our bait from the shop. There's a few more guys starting to turn up now. So obviously plenty of local interest as well in this festival. The next thing that we need to do is go and draw a flyer. Here we go, folks. Peg 61, Conqueror wood, one off the end. It's quite narrow here. I think fishing for roach, maybe an odd little hybrid. I don't think it's going to be great, if I'm honest. It's not very deep. What a beautiful place, stunning, isn't it? So, setup wise, I've gone for 2 lines, one long, one short, 2 12-footers and a couple of 11-footers, both with braid. Jamie Harrison is, I think he's 3 or 4 down. Let's have a look at the bait we've got. We're doing a bit of bait prep at the minute, so here's the ground bait. Labour of love this ground bait is. We're getting up nice and early to mix that. Beautiful mix that is. Nice and fine. Frenzy black and brown crumb. Dead simple. Superb. That's the ground bait. Got some casters from the local shop which are fantastic. Some maggots. Look at these, the old squiggly disco pinks. Look at that, what a beautiful colour that is. So we've got some maggots, we're doing some floaters, a few pinkies for tipping, and that's about it. Nice and simple. I've got a few worms, don't think they're going to come into it, the water's still freezing. But a nice simple day. I'd love to catch short on a feeder if it's a numbers game, but I remember being along this bit before and all the fish seem to be at long distance. Depth wise it's pretty consistent, so I think the fish should rather sit a bit further out. It's just not deep enough short, but we'll see. That we can get in there. That is Connor Brown just there, and he will fish a pole, I know he will, so that'll give us a good indication whether some fish are short. Target weight for the day, I'm thinking it could be anything, but I'm thinking it could be tough. 2 kilo is my target weight, and then we'll start thinking once we get to 2 kilo what we can get from there. But I think 2 kilo to start with will be good. Wish me luck. Now baiting up, I wanted to be pretty cautious whilst still attracting a few fish into my swim. So I've started on a caged window feeder. For me, fishing in Ireland comes down to a lot of window feeder work now. And the cage window feeders, both the Guru ones and the Preston ones, are fantastic. You can alter the amount of attraction with each feeder full, squeeze the bait in hard, squeeze the bait in soft. You can do a lot of things with those feeders. So 2 large cage windows of bait, just ground bait to start with, have gone on to my short feeder line. Emptied them out halfway down each one, so plenty of attraction in the water. I'm not looking to pin fish to the bottom early on in the session, just looking to attract them into the swim. So that was my opening gambit. I'm hoping that was going to suck a few roach, a few of those little hybrids into the area, and I could start fishing for them with maybe a little bit more compact ground bait in the feeder. Pin those fish down to the bottom where they're easier to catch. A quick word about the rig I'm using. I'm using a running paternoster rig. A lot of us like to use feeder links when we're fishing for small fish. It creates a bit more movement. It means the fish, being so small, he can't shake his head against the weight of the feeder and get rid of the hook. So we like to use a link between the feeder and the main line. Now, I'm using a rig that a good friend of mine, Lee Kerry, has put me onto. The jury's still out whether this is the right rig to use for me personally, but he uses it a lot and I thought I'd give it a go during this festival. It's basically slide a link onto the main line and then put 2 float stops onto the main line. Those 2 float stops are enough to keep that link in place even with a heavy feeder when you're casting out. And it means that if I want to change my hook length, I can do it really quickly just by sliding those float stops up and down the main line. Now, one of the benefits, and I've seen Lee do this a lot, of having this rig is you only need to carry a small selection of hook lengths with you. A little hook length box, I'm using an 8-inch hook length box with a selection of hook lengths tied up. The short length of hook length means that I've not got a big long length of light line that potentially could spin up or tangle. So a nice thick shock leader, I'm using 0.28 shock leader on this rig, and then loop to loop my little 8-inch hook length to the bottom of that shock leader, and then slide those float stops up and down the line to alter my hook length. Now for the first hour, there seems to be quite a few bites to be had. Plenty of small roach. It wasn't easy hitting the bite, and I've got to own up, I didn't quite crack this. Remember, first time I've been on this venue for a long time, the stamp of fish threw me out a little bit that was slightly smaller than we all expected, and small roach on a feeder, you're not going to hit every bite. We needed to find out what the hook bait was, hook size, line diameters, all these things add up and it makes you hit a lot more bites. You've got to get every little component correct, and that way you'll get into a rhythm, you'll start hitting more bites, you'll start putting more fish in your net. Having said that, first hour, plenty of fish to be caught, but you could tell the fish just wouldn't settle. Plenty of pike were being hooked. I'd hook one myself. Was that putting the fish off? It's got to have an effect on the fish. During the middle of the match, it was so noticeable that bites slowed down for everybody. I think because this venue isn't fished regularly, the fish that were resident in the area have become so hungry and they got sucked into that initial amount of bait that people were feeding, and then maybe they backed off because it was a little bit too much for them. That, coupled with the pike problems that everyone was having, was just unsettling the fish. I knew though that no one was running away with the section. A lot of people were catching small roach, there was no big fish to be caught. So if I could get a good run, maybe last hour and a half or so, I knew I could be up there with a chance. And as it happened, last hour, I've had a really good run, hitting most of my bites, found out the single maggot was a great bait, double maggot was also a good bait if you needed to sit there and wait for a little bit longer. It almost seemed like a bigger visual bait would get you a bite. Altering how I loaded the feeder was also important. So if I was on a good run where I thought there was plenty of fish in the peg, I could fill the feeder quite firmly and make sure that bait got to the bottom where my hook bait was obviously going to be. But when bites started to slow down a little bit, I'd fill the feeder with a little bit less pressure. That meant that some of that bait would empty out mid-water, obviously creating a little bit of a cloud, more attraction, hopefully drawing more fish into the swim. It worked really well, and in the last hour I had a really good run of fish. as I keep saying, pike were a problem all day, and the worst case scenario is when you get one strike right in your swim or very close to your swim. It just seems to put the fish off for ages, and that happened to me late on. Once that happened, it was a struggle to get bites, so probably for the last 10 minutes it was very slow, with just a couple more fish to finish the day. Well, what a mega day. I've managed to win the section. Loads of bites, loads of fish. Very frustrating at times. We've missed a lot of bites. And you know what? I don't think we're anywhere near getting it right. I've had 4 kilos. What have we got, Jamie? What weight?
4.6.
4 kilos, 600. So in old money, it's just over £10, I'm guessing. Mega tight section though. There's been a 4 kilos, 400. Couple of them. There's been a 4 kilos. Jamie's had 4.2, have you?
Yeah, just under, yeah, 4.1. Very tight.
Very tight. So come match day next week, you'll be watching this. We'd have had the match already if you and you guys will be watching this, so you'll know how tight it's been, but it's going to be tight.
And pike.
Yeah, loads of pike problems as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
So everyone along the stretch has had fish taken by pike, and you're getting little spells where you'll catch like 5 or 6 fish as fast as you can, and then it goes quiet. Maybe we're catching them too fast and you're spooking the shoal, or maybe you're getting Mr. Pike when you swim. So a great first day, really enjoyed it. I can't wait for the rest of the festival. Wish me luck. Until next time, folks, tight lines.